Ontario Premier Doug Ford is calling on the federal government to strengthen the country's bail system following the death of OPP officer Greg Pershala. And federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is also calling for changes and joins us now live this afternoon here on CP24. Mr. Poilievre, thanks for being here. How would you go about fixing Canada's bail system, which appears to have failed in this instance?
Well, I would reverse Justin Trudeau's catch and release bail policy that he brought in Bill C-75. That policy requires judges to make it as easy as possible and as lenient as possible for recently charged violent accused to get bail. And that is what I think one of the reasons why so many violent reoffenders keep getting released onto the streets. We don't have all the details yet of the accused in this case, Mr. McKenzie, but he was out on bail. We know that, and he was out on bail for very serious violent offenses, including assault of a police officer, use of firearms in the commission of an offense, etc. And he should not have been released. He should have been behind bars. Had he been, then this heroic constable would still be alive today.
So you feel like this was likely a preventable situation?
Well, there's no question it was preventable. If he had been behind bars, as he should have been, because he had a track record of violent, repeat convictions, plus he was charged in 2021 with violent gun-related offenses. Had he been behind bars rather than out on bail, obviously he would not have been able to allegedly kill this police officer. And so, Justin Trudeau brought in this catch and release policy that requires judges release people on bail, even when they're accused of serious violent offenses and even when they have a pre-existing rap sheet of convictions. And that is making Canadians less safe. Because of Justin Trudeau's policies, I'm meeting police officers who tell me that they arrest the same offender in the afternoon that they've arrested in the same morning. And so they arrest them in the morning, take them in, and that offender gets catch and release bail under the Trudeau policy, and they're back out on the streets doing more violence by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They have to be rearrested again. That consumes police resources. It puts people in danger. Bail should be for people who are at very low risk to reoffend and not for violent reoffenders like the one that is alleged to have killed this heroic constable, Greg Pershala.
Yeah, and we have to be careful, of course, of how we talk about this because it's now before the courts. But in the meantime, when it comes to the bail system per se, you talked about resources there when it comes to policing. There's also a resource issue when it comes to, jails and making sure that there's enough money in the system to keep enough people, potential, threats to society in. And that's a problem. We've heard it when Mayor John Tory in Toronto has brought this up, when Premier Doug Ford has brought it up. It seems to me there's a resource situation on the other side here. How would you go about fixing that then?
Well, I'm actually not proposing putting more people in jail. What I'm proposing is that the repeat violent offenders who we know are going to go back to jail anyway because of their propensity to reoffend, that they just stay there in the first place. So, you take a case where someone has been convicted of 60 different violent offenses. Well, you can make a pretty good guess that that person is going to reoffend and be back in jail anyway. Why not leave them there in the first place? If they have a rap sheet that long, then they should just stay behind bars rather than being released. And so I think, I'll give you an example. British Columbia, the Union of Mayors put out a letter in which they said that in the city of Vancouver, 40 offenders were responsible for being negative interactions with the police 6,000 times. So you got 40 offenders, 6,000 negative interactions with the cops, probably 6,000 arrests. That means 150 arrests per offender per year. Now, why not just leave those 40 offenders behind bars rather than having them go out and reoffend and reoffend and reoffend? Sure, if a young person makes a mistake, they should get a second chance. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the people who are doing dozens of violent offenses. Those people need to stay in prison so they can no longer harm our population and, worst of all, kill our police officers.
Okay. All right, Mr. Poilievre, appreciate your time this afternoon. Thanks for joining us here on CP24.
Great to be with you.